All right, let's get into it. Today we're going to go behind the velvet ropes, pull back the curtain on a place we all feel like we know so well, the museum. But it turns out there's a lot going on that you're not always meant to see. You know the feeling, right? You walk in and poof, the noise of the city just fades away. It's replaced by that quiet, kind of reverent echo of your own footsteps. You're surrounded by all this amazing history, this incredible art. It's a space for just thinking. But what if the most important stories in a museum aren't just in what you see, but in what you don't see? What if the real secrets are hidden in plain sight, in the gaps between the exhibits? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into. This is all about the hidden architecture of memory. And our guide for this whole journey is Dr. Priyanka Joshi's fantastic work, Museum Culture. We're about to see how these places don't just preserve our past, they actively build it. Okay, first things first, we have to talk about choices. Because, and this is a big one, nothing you see in a museum got there by accident. Not a single thing. I mean, seriously, think about it. That single ancient pot sitting under the glass, it was probably one of hundreds they dug up. That incredible painting on the wall, the curator likely chose it over dozens of others. The lighting, the little description next to it, even the color of the wall it's on. It's all a carefully constructed experience. So for every single thing you see, there's this whole other layer of questions just bubbling under the surface. You know, how did this thing even get here? Why this one specifically? Whose story is it really telling? And maybe the biggest question of all, what's the little plaque not telling you? So who are the wizards behind the curtain making all these calls? Well, it's not some abstract force. It's a team of real people. You've got curators, the ones who select the objects. You have educators who figure out how to tell the story to you and me. And you have designers who create the entire vibe of the room you're standing in. They are quite literally the architects of your experience. And all those little choices, well, they add up to something huge. Which brings us to our next big idea, the incredible power of the narrative. This right here, this is the core of it. We tend to think of museums as these, neutral vaults for history, just facts in a box. But what Dr. Joshi's work shows is that they're powerful, active storytellers. They're not just holding our memories, they're shaping how we and all the generations after us understand our own history. For example, let's say you're in an exhibit celebrating the Industrial Revolution. You'll probably see all the brilliant inventions and hear about the genius inventors, but what about the stories of the workers, the pollution, the communities that were totally uprooted to build those factories? Those missing pieces, those silences, they're just as much a part of the story as what's lit up in the display case. I love this quote because it nails it. A museum isn't just a storage unit for old things. It's a home for ideas. And that forces you to ask a really important question, doesn't it? Whose ideas? This all leads directly into some really big, really urgent conversations that are happening right now, all over the world, about what a museum should even be in the 21st century. Yeah, these are the heavy hitters that museums are grappling with today. Who gets represented, and how do they do it? Who actually owns these pieces of cultural heritage? And the big one, how do you confront the often painful colonial histories that built many of these collections in the first place? Let's just pause on that last word for a sec, decolonization, because it's so important. It's not just about giving stuff back. It's way, way deeper than that. It's about a fundamental power shift. It's asking who gets to tell the story, whose knowledge is seen as valuable, and how can museums start working with communities instead of just speaking for them? And it is so critical to understand that this is not just a debate happening in museums in London or Paris or New York. Not at all. This is what makes the source material for this explainer so powerful. It shows how museums in places like India are wrestling with the exact same big questions of identity and heritage and history. It proves this is a truly global conversation. So, after all that, what does this actually mean for us? How does it change the way we walk through a museum? How can we shift from being just passive tourists, kind of looking at pretty things, to being active, critical participants in the stories being told around us? Here's a simple toolkit. 3 things to try on your next visit. 1. Try to identify the main character of the exhibit. Is the story about a king, an empire, an artist? 2. Actively look for what's not there. Who is missing from this narrative? And 3. Just let yourself get curious about the objects themselves.
How on earth did this specific thing travel through time and space to end up right here in this room?
When you start asking these questions, something amazing happens. The museum experience completely transforms. It stops being this quiet, static place, and it becomes a dynamic, living conversation with the past. You're not just receiving a story anymore, you're actively engaging with it. So, the final thought I want to leave you with is this. If museums are such powerful shapers of our memory, then their job isn't just to tell us who we were, it's also to help us imagine who we could become. The question is, what kind of future do we want them to help us build?